here with me tonight. I'll be sharing with you my experience as an English language teacher using virtual reality, integrating virtual reality to teach English as a foreign language. So just before we get started, let me tell you a little bit of my background. I've been teaching for over 20 years, and from some years up to now, technology, of course, has been really important and has been really helpful for us teachers in order to help our students progress in the language acquisition. And then when we think of virtual reality, if you go back 3 years ago, and even nowadays, people usually have it as something expensive and for a few people and a few schools. When I started my research back in 2015, when Google started with the project Expeditions, the Google Cardboard, and that was the name, because this is the Pioneer set. It's actually cardboard material. The purpose is to have an immersive experience and learn subjects such as history, biology, for example. I had the opportunity to observe classes and even talk to the creator of Google Cardboard Box. And because I'm an English teacher, I was always thinking, okay, what can I do in order to use this expertise and this resource to help my students learn English? Because the key point is to go beyond the entertainment. We teach English, we teach language and communication, and those features are really crucial. So today I'll navigate you through this. The evolution of the sets. So first the cardboard, and this is the second version. This is something that folds. Let me just explain how it works. So this is the cardboard, and you put everything together, and your phone goes right here. That's the principle. Of course, over the years and using the cardboard with many students and many groups, you can see that it gets weary very soon. So currently, we've been using a more resistant set here in Cultura Inglesa. And also, it's a set that protects the student's phone. By the way, using virtual reality, and just so you understand how it goes, this is how we fit the mobile phone here. And then we close and off to the experience. Using virtual reality has to do for the teacher to learn the way around using the resource and the possibilities of communication. So if you consider the possibilities we have nowadays, they are Google Expeditions, which is an app, and you have to download it to the phone. And the other possibility, which I consider to be the most popular and easy to use, which is the YouTube. Over the past 2 years, YouTube has advanced in a great way in terms of the quality of those videos offered and the themes. So how is it that we go about working with virtual reality? Remember, I told you we need to go beyond the entertainment because our students need to talk to each other, they need to communicate, but of course, we need to understand as teachers the purpose in their learning. And that's how I'm going to start off with you. Along this online session, I'll be showing you some scenes from my real classroom with students, children, and elementary learners performing the real tasks, because that's something really important when we teach, that we take into consideration real scenarios of learning. As you can see here, we have this possibility of experiencing YouTube in virtual reality and the Google Cardboard, which was the pioneer set. Something that it's really important when we take a decision, okay, why are we using technology? Why are we integrating technology to learning? Because every time we get started with a new resource, with a new app, something different, there is a curve of learning. Where do I click? What do I do? How does it go? So take this into consideration, first of all, especially in the first moment, and don't give up. Many times I've been this road for a long time, and there are people who say, I tried, but then it was messy. Students were asking me too many questions. Yes, this is part of the learning curve at the very first moment. But as teachers, we need to take into consideration what we have here. There is the COVA model, and I think this is really strong in terms of our purpose when teaching. This stands for choice, ownership, voice through authentic learning, which is a pillar of learning and, of course, of teaching as well in a 21st century. And it says that just repetition or just rote memorization is not enough. We need to go beyond that. And especially because we currently have the resources to go beyond that. Look how important it is for students to choose the path of their learning, to have options to choose from, instead of just showing a photo. You know, a photo, okay, you have a glimpse of an image, but that's it. And then currently, we can go beyond that. And this is something important as well. While learning through authentic experiences, the virtual reality, once you have your device here ready, and you are looking through the lenses, minutes, you are not physically in the classroom. You are in the world. You are visiting. You can move and have this experience and a different sensation. But remember what I told you, it is beyond the entertainment. So how do we go about that? First, I'm going to show you some videos of my students using the virtual reality. The first one, they are going to show students getting to understand how to insert their phones into the VR set, because that's important as well. And talking about the student's mobile phone, I'm sure you are familiar with the concept of BYOD. I'm typing in the chat room. Does anybody remember? Could you share what it stands for, please? Meanwhile, I'm going to get the links. This is the first one. Thank you. That's bring your own device. So we use the resource available for our students. When I started integrating mobile phone to classes back in 2011-12, well, you can remember, a few people only had mobile devices and they were really limited compared to nowadays. When I started with the integration of VR into classes, so 2015, 2016, we had devices, but then limited compared to what we have currently. The first video I'm going to show you is a video where the students, the first two videos actually, where the students I think the video needs to be public. Maybe that's it, yeah? Where the students, they are using the phone, learning actually how to handle that. Let me see here. There is something I have to mention. While I'm finding the video here, I will share a short link where you can access a document that I prepared for us here, okay? Let me share this in the chat then. Apologies, somebody has watched it. I think you can get by. You see, this is something that happens when we are teaching. Many times we plan things ahead. Now I've got it. Let me just get the right one. And these technicalities, they happen all the time. Thanks. Somebody in the chat here, somebody in the chat is just playing the video, yes? So this is the first one, thank you, where it shows a little...
Yes, what animal? What animal do you see? Lion, yes? Just a moment, is the forest beautiful? Yeah.
Thank you. So this was the first one where a little child is watching. And of course, when you teach a group of kids, there is a different dynamics. Because when we teach a group of little kids, they are not in charge of all the phones. First, because they don't have a phone. So it's important in this situation that we work with rotation stations. While one kid is with you, the other kid is like the other kids are just doing other activities related. There's another video I'd like to show. Which is this one. And here they are learning how to fit the phone into the device, okay? Very well. Then, like I mentioned before, the most important thing is to have this resource which provides excitement and a new experience, along with the main purpose of teaching English, which is the communicative purpose to teach a language. So there are two tasks here that I suggest. They are both from YouTube, because this way the students don't have to download any app. When you use Expeditions, the app I mentioned before, Google Expeditions, this is amazing because you have a high definition image or films, but on the other hand, this needs to be downloaded on the phone. So there is a difference in this sense, okay? So how does it go? There are two names here, and the first one, the threatened species, was used with the little kids. So with this video, they were learning about animals. And of course, they have never been to a forest before, especially at the age of 5 or 6. So what you have to do is to type the title of the video in your YouTube app. So I go on, and then you say, but Raquel, if I'm teaching little kids, how are they going to type such a complicated name? And the answer is they aren't, because you are going to use your very own phone. Remember, when working with a group of little kids, you need to make sure they are divided in small groups. They have a task, such as a puzzle, something to write, and then it's about knowing your group. And then you call them one by one to experience this film video, to go to this particular location. That's important to know. So it's the teacher's phone. And then when you open YouTube, what is going to happen if your phone is updated is that you are going to see on the corner a symbol of VR, which resembles this. I don't know, it's too small, but you can see it here. And when you click there, what happens is that it splits the screen into two. And when you are working with young children, with children in general, that's why the teacher is in charge of this resource, because they cannot type or find the video easily. Another suggestion here is a video about Salvador. So what would the purpose with each video be? The first one, the little kids have to say the animals they see. Let me show you here the other video where I used precisely this activity. It's noisy, of course. It's a class for little kids, but the production was elephant, look, elephant. And of course, feeling like waving hello to the elephant. So that's what experience brings to us. This video is actually long. And what I do when I teach, I have the children watch different parts of the video. This lasts for 2 minutes. It's not possible, and it's not really a good idea, not even recommended, that we are exposed to virtual reality for a very long time. So what I recommend for kids is that they watch around 30 seconds and 40 seconds of the video. And then, of course, you ask a question. This group of students, I asked the question, what can you see? That was the task. Then, the other video, Salvador da Bahia, that was a very interesting activity when I traveled to England to speak in IATEFL, because for those people, going to Salvador is not a very common destination. So they would see and describe the places, and that's a very, very good activity for all levels. And again, the production, the expected production depends on the student's level. I'm going to show you another video now, actually a sequence of videos. And in this second video, you're going to see a group of adult learners, elementary learners, and they were studying about how to describe places. and using the language there is, there are. If you teach elementary learners, you're familiar with that, yeah? So there must always be a task. Sometimes, please ask questions in the chat while I'm finding videos or speaking here, because I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well, all right? Thanks, Arlette, for this video. I love a video. Thank you for contributing here. Thank you. There is a video by Google when they started back in 2000, where they also show students getting to visit distant places. So this one is an elementary level group. Keep this in mind. You see, when we are working with students, they need to be in groups. It is not necessary to have one VR set per student. Why? Because the activity is communicative. So you have a group of 3 or 4 students, and there is a task. So here the task was to tell each other. They visited different cities. So one student visited Spain, and the other visited a place in Russia, and another student visited America. And then they described, of course, different things they could see while visiting the place. And this is really exciting. There's more video coming along. Of course, the videos are simple because I was like filming while teaching, but there is a very good thing about those videos because they reflect the reality of a class and not studio learning, okay? In this next video here, and then talking teacher to teacher, these study cases or action research, which is part of our routine as a teacher, it is a great way to keep track of what we have been doing throughout the years. So technology plays an important part here as well, because there are resources nowadays and we can keep track of what we have been doing. And since I started, it's addictive because we see how things change and the evolution. This film I'm going to show you, it's a group of elementary learners again, and they are using a more modern device, this one. This happened just last Saturday. So you've got here footage from 2016, 17, 18, and 19, because research is ongoing, and that's really important. So they are elementary learners. I feel really proud, and I opted for, in this particular group, not to ask them to stand up. Well, the experience happens, and what is really important here is that you look up, down, and to your sides so that you can have a more comprehensive view of the scene you are inserted. Sometimes the students prefer to stand up, but they're always close to each other. The little kids, they really feel they need to stand up. And you gotta be careful, a piece of advice here, because the first thing they do, they get the VR set and go straight to the first wall. Why? Because they into that deep experience, they dive into the experience, which is amazing, but we are the teachers in charge of them. So be close to the little ones because the excitement is there. And for the adults, it depends. So this group, I have just played the video. They were sitting in trios. While one person, so just going back here. While one person was visiting the location, the other students were asking questions. And this is really important to happen. Let me see if I can play this again. I'm going to find another way to play it again. When this happens, communication is taking place. So you see, one is going around London. That was the topic of our class. There were questions on the board and questions that I had previously shared via Google Classroom, because we use Google Classroom in Cultura Inglesa as well. And the others were taking turns asking questions. And this is really important. Everybody should be involved in the activity. If you have a group of teenagers or adults, because usually teenagers and adults, everybody has their very own mobile phone, and that's easy. YouTube is a very, very popular app. So this is usually okay. What happens is that sometimes when students open YouTube, they say, teacher, this symbol of VR, I don't see that symbol in my screen. So it happens, possibly the app is not up to date. So then it's a matter of going to the Google Play Store and updating the app. Currently, all phones are enabled for this possibility, but there is always the chance that you get a phone and it's not enabled for this. A very good test is when you go to your App Store or your Play Store, Google Play, and then you type Expeditions or you type YouTube. But actually, when you type Expeditions or you type Google Cardboard Box, let me type here, and you look for these apps, so Expeditions or Cardboard. If your phone is not enabled, then it says right away, and then you know, okay, so my phone, it's not possible to be used in my phone. Other things to consider. So they took turns using the VR sets. This one is practical because it's easy to clean, a lot better than the previous models, okay? But this is evolution, right? And it is important to mention, maybe you say, Raquel, you have ideal conditions of teaching. Yes and no, it all depends, because when we work with the concept of bring your own device, it means we have a variety of mobile phone sets in the class, and some of them are just not able to. And I actually had this problem as of last Saturday. And we had one mobile phone working per group as a coincidence. Always look at these things as an opportunity for collaboration. Because when we work with technology, things happen, we get ready, we do things beforehand, but sometimes technicalities are part of the process as well. Here's another video. It's the same group. And they were really excited. They were so thankful for having had the opportunity to actually visit London, which is not the case. They had never been to London before, apart from one student. And they were studying about shopping in London. Then I used this opportunity, the biggest shop in London, Harrods. So they visited Harrods to get to understand what it is like. Let me show you this one. And having this feeling, okay, what is the place like? May ask me, Raquel, but if everybody watches the same video, doesn't it mean that there's no novelty there? Well, there is this risk. What I personally do out of experience is to either assign the same task, the same questions, but applied to different videos, or to have the same video, especially if it's a long video, but students watch the different parts of the same video. This is amazing, especially with the little kids, because you get one video about animals in the forest, or a video about a castle in Europe when they're studying, let's say, fairy tales. And then you divide a video of 3-4 minutes into 3 blocks. So they actually get to see different things, even though they watched the same video. So those are the things we get to learn how to go about. I have a video here. It's not actually, no, it is actually the one. Would you like to travel to this place? Sometimes they start asking questions and they go beyond what we plan, which is amazing, actually. All right, and that's how it goes. You know, what we experience feels different. If you are a teacher watching here, you know that things that we experience, they come to us and they have an effect on our brain differently. Then you ask, okay, Raquel, but do you do this integration all the time? No, the answer is no. Remember, there is something important, which is the element of novelty. So if you use this integration every class, then it's not going to have the same effect. Another point is that for every school, there is a set of VR, and the teachers need to use that, not only one person all the time. I'd like to show you, if you haven't accessed yet, this is a link. I prepared a digital handout for you watching. Thank you, by the way, for watching. And here you can access links and references that I used while conducting this research. And this is actually part of my teaching in Cultura Inglesa. The teachers have been integrating virtual reality to the different levels. And that's another question which people usually say, okay, but is it only for children? Is it only for basic level learners? Because of course, with you, okay, is that the only purpose? And the answer again is no. I'd like to show you something else. I have a list of things here. Sometimes we can use sometimes no, actually all the times, we can use our creativity while teaching. And especially nowadays when we are teaching teenagers, young adults, we can even go across platforms. And that's an important challenge to take. we've gone beyond a moment that we can, let's say, choose and say, oh, okay, I would like to use, I don't want to use anything. We are definitely past this. I'm going to share with you in a chat the link to my Instagram, Teacher Raquel. It is called Informed Teachers. And there are two important purposes here. In this Instagram, apart from sharing what I have been doing as a teacher, which is also motivation for me, and we as teachers, we need to find motivation so that we can be better teachers, be happy in what we are doing, have a sense of progress and a sense of advancing and learning as well. But I also use the platform of Instagram, especially stories, but also the feed, as a tool for students to learn. And there was a particular class where they had to visit locations for the purpose of using adjectives, those more demanding adjectives that upper levels and intermediate levels learn, adjective order, and so on. So I'm going to share with you another link. It's from the blog. And this was an idea that I had while carrying out the activity. They had different locations to visit, the groups, and along with those locations, they had to write about them using the adjective. So that was the challenge, not only visiting the place. And this is something, so I'm sharing with you in the chat this link where it shows I'm sorry, I don't think I can actually share my screen with you. So if you can please click on that link and so you are going to see there, and then I'll be describing here. There's a very small video attached where they typed about the location. They had to go research. They had to use the adjectives. Some of them even dared answering in the comments in Instagram. And the vast majority of our students have this resource. There's another one I'm going to share with you, and you can visualize this in your desktop. Even if you don't have Instagram, it is possible. As I share the link here, then you click. I'm just sending another one. I'd like somebody, please, from the chat to let me know, if you could actually see. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback here. So those are possibilities. We just stretch the activities beyond what we think. And the key point is to challenge our students to go beyond, to experience their learning. And this, now, what I'm going to share with you are some ideas. And then I love technology. I'm very geeky, and if you know me, it's something I can't help. But just the technology, just the resource, without creativity and without insights, it's not enough. We have to go beyond that. And that's precisely where we teachers who are in the classroom, interacting with the different age ranges, and many times under challenging conditions, we have this advantage to our favor. So here there are some ideas. Very young learners, so they studied about homes. They watched an animation about Hotel Transylvania. If you know cartoons, you know what I'm talking about. And there is this boy who lives in a castle, and then visiting a castle, having the feeling of crossing the bridge over a castle. I just can't pronounce this name, which is in Germany. Also animals in a landscape, and they come and say lion or elephant or the animals they can see. A bit slightly older, reading about the Milky Way. So that was in the course book. And the planets, and they actually got to visit and drop by the moon in Apollo 17. So they had this feeling of landing there. Upper level, but still teenagers or adults. Look how challenging here. There's the adjectives and also the passive reporting of verbs. So it's all about what we make out of it. Let me show you another video here. So remember I told you that when I first heard of integrating virtual reality to teaching, the idea was going beyond the classroom. If you consider subjects such as biology or history, but it all depends on what we do with it, what we make out of it. Just before carrying on, consider important steps. The learning curve of using technology. There might be a few drawbacks here and there. But remember, this video shows that students collaborate and help each other. And the students help us as well, especially because they have this interest. What is she doing? Something that I failed to mention before, every time I come up with something different in class, the first people I ask their opinion, they're my students. So I come and say, look, I've got this. This is my idea. That's how we can learn. What do you think about it? Do you think it would work? So they are part of your decision. And we say, okay, there might be a few difficulties. Like in this group last Saturday, I thought like, this is going to be a piece of cake. 2019, I've had great experiences in 2017, but actually there were only 3 phones working. But they collaborated, they helped each other. We find a way around the difficulties, and it's important that we are open-minded. But it's also important that as teachers, we get to prepare ourselves so that we understand, okay, where do I click? Which video am I going to use? What are the other students going to do? How am I going to handle the little kids? It all depends on the number of students you have as well. Thanks. I'm keeping an eye here at the chat, and please let me know. I can see some friends from very far away. Thank you very much for being here and supporting. And one thing that helps me greatly get the inspiration, let's say the technical inspiration, is UNESCO and the amazing work they do. So there is a link in this document I shared with you. There's a link to UNESCO mobile policies, because it's important to get to understand. Another thing, talk to your school, to your coordinator. In Cultura Inglesa, we are highly encouraged to use technology with a purpose. So there is this encouragement for students, for teachers, keeping an eye at the purpose, at the communication gain for our students, the different aspect of experience. And remember, this is affordable. This, of course, mine is really old, but we can get this online, and it's not really expensive. You can talk to your school and see what is possible to do. Something else, the creativity and how it is that you're going to integrate this to your teaching. Another thing that I do, I'm a researcher, but I'm a classroom teacher. So I know that the research I do and what I share is usually simplified because I take into consideration the diversity of classroom environment that I have faced over the years, both in the branches or in partner schools with different scenarios and locations. But it's really important that we get to understand the purpose, to see what can be improved, what can be changed, and talk to the coordination of the school. And something that is really, really dear to me, when I do something with a group, I provide all the other groups with this, because otherwise it's like, is this my favorite group? And that's not my favorite group. So that's something that bothers me. So from the little kids to the elementary learners, advanced learners, I have this very clear to me. So all my groups will go through the experience at some point. Some people ask me, Raquel, is it only, there's a comment here, thank you very much, that some school owners and coordinators are not ready for that. I'm with you there. We need to go and show the purpose. It's important to be resilient because over the years I have faced the difficulties, but also I have found encouragement. And I would tell you, do not give up. Keep it up, because this is motivation for us to carry on as a teacher. Happy teachers, motivated teachers, this reflects on our teaching, and this is good for us. So it's a win-win situation, because we enjoy what we are doing, because we are learning from it. Help each other, be generous in the teacher's room. Maybe we are ahead of a colleague just for a little bit. That's our contribution. In another situation, somebody else is going to help us. As a teacher, we all have discoveries, things that we do related to technology or not, that you say, look, this has been working. So share your path, blog about it. If you don't like writing, have a video, a podcast. There are so many possibilities. And trust that what you have been using in the class and applying, and then you see a progress, can be helpful to another teacher, maybe even far away, very, very far away from you. Going back to the point of, do I use this activity only with elementary learners? The answer is no. I used that, I think, a month ago, or a little bit more than a month ago, with a group of proficiency students. And the theme of our class was working conditions. And I had them visit different locations in the trios. So one person visited Facebook office in Ireland, and the other visited Googleplex in California, and the other visited the YouTube studios. And while visiting the different locations, of course, they have more vocabulary to talk, a lot more than the elementary learners, so they don't need this guidance of questions that the elementary learners do. Also, they actually witnessed conditions in those offices, and they had a lot more to contribute to the discussion. So their very own experience working their companies, along with the experience of other offices in different parts of the world. So this is important to take into consideration. Level is not an excuse. How long do you need to use virtual reality in a class? It all depends. First time, it's going to be slightly longer. But I would say ideally, when students learn how to handle that, 15 minutes will do. First time, I'd say 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It also depends on the size of the group, okay? I'd like to ask you if you have other questions to ask me. If you have you ever tried using virtual reality before? How much of technology do you integrate? Not being technology freak, but how is it that you see possibilities where the steady use of technology can help your students move forward? I see, didn't work so well. Do not give up, sister. If it didn't work very well, learn from what didn't really go very well back then and try it differently. Also, always share this with the students. They help us. If you can talk to a peer who's been using technology for longer. And by the way, talking about teaching, fellow teachers who are there teaching and going along. I see here one of the teachers watching. He's also a blogger and very active on Twitter. It's Joe, are you still there? If you could type your Twitter handle, please, so we get to know your work. I know your work. That if there is any other teacher here who's also a blogger, it's important that we learn from each other and that we support each other in this career. Hi, I see more people here. Yes, Google Expeditions is an app that can be downloaded from the App Store, Google Play, for instance. Well, I'm also on Twitter. Let's see here. I'm taking a look at the chat. And thanks, Samantha is typing. I'm going to type mine as well. Although I'm much more active on Instagram. And it's important that we follow each other, that we support each other, and that we find motivation in our teaching. So I thank you for watching. Yeah, there is this foreign, yeah. Let me see if I can type somebody else. There are all the blogs that we support each other in the community. I think you are familiar with a community of teachers from Brazil called BRELT, the Brazilian English language teachers. And we learn a lot from each other. And sometimes we just feel like having, listening from other teachers as well. If you have any other question, please type. But this is what I had ready for you to share my walk using virtual reality with the different age ranges and levels, to give you some insights and to encourage you to keep in mind the purpose of having your students learn from authentic experiences. And one of the ways using technology is this way of using virtual reality. If you can follow my work, I usually talk to teachers and students via stories in Instagram or share things via the feed. I really think, hi, there's another person from Minas Gerais. Hello, welcome. And it's really important that we advance in our career, research, and have our students along the levels, along the classes, have a more intensive and a more efficient learning experience. Thank you very much for watching, and see you around online, because that's the modern world. Thank you very much. Goodbye.